well. It is April 13th, Monday, April 13th, 2025. Welcome to Mind Heart Mondays. I have a little teaching for us today. I hope you have some time to tune in. I'm calling this, and I actually didn't title it, but I'll title it when I'm done streaming. But I'm calling this the balance between working and resting in your calling. This has been on my heart today because I'm still learning this. Although I feel like I've reached a good space. And I have some pointers for us today, some tips to kind of get on this journey to building your dream life. So I'm going to talk about work, rest, and your calling today. I feel like this is a good time to do this. April is the first month of the second quarter of this year. And I feel very inspired right now with work and everything, so this is what I'm going to be teaching. If you're tuning into the live stream, kindly let me know if you can hear me. Just make sure my sound is doing okay. And if you're watching on the replay, welcome. Yeah, hope you guys are having a good April. It's been good. It's been a good one. A lot of change and transition, but April is the month of bloom. So I'm hoping for that for all of us. So let's get started. The balance between working and resting in your calling. Okay, so first let's define calling, because I feel like once we're there, then we can get into the rest. Calling is something I teach on a lot because it is something that I feel once you know why you're here. Doing well, Austin. How are you? Welcome. Hope you can hear me okay. Calling is the what of what you're here to do. Hi, welcome. Good to see y'all. I actually have a teaching calling. I think I called it purpose, calling, and assignment. So if you're interested in that, I get into details about all three of these, but it's important for you to know this for yourself. So that, thank you, you too. So that, so you can know why you're here. But the calling is essentially what you are doing. Okay, the purpose is the why. The assignment is the how, and the calling is what you're doing. Okay, so usually when I teach this, if you're in a space where you're trying to figure out what you're doing, why you're on this earth, you know, especially if you feel like you're just kind of meandering through life, you don't know why you're here, you don't have any inspiration, you know, you're bored with your job, it's most likely because you haven't discovered your calling. So usually when I teach on this, I give you kind of an equation for yourself, and that is to combine your vision with your passions and desires and your talents and gifts. When you put all of these together, most likely you will discover your calling and what you're here to do. Then again, you must know what those things are in the first place. So if you don't have vision for your life, you're going to have struggles with this. If you don't have, you know, passions, things that bring you joy, things that motivate you, you need to discover those for yourself first. And then, of course, knowing your gifts and talents. Usually, your calling is connected to the things that matter to you, as well as the things that you naturally flow in, okay? So that is an easy way to figure out your calling. And again, if you're struggling with finding fulfillment in your job, or just, not knowing what on earth you're doing with your life, it's most likely because you need to start here. And I'll probably do teachings on this later, but I do have a general teaching that you can check out somewhere. Probably, I want to say 2021. I think I taught on that specifically, so you can check that out. So, now rest, when I'm talking about rest, I'm not talking about being passive, and I'm not talking about being lazy. I'm talking about the kind of rest that strengthens you, physically, mentally, emotionally, certainly spiritually. It's rebuilding and it's recovery. Okay, and we're going to get into this in a minute. And when I'm talking about work, I'm talking about building and pouring into your calling. Okay, so just to kind of overview this. So now let's get into some of these questions to ask yourself. The first these are, well, I guess it's one question. Yeah, it's one question, and the rest is just kind of pointers for you. So how do I know where I am? In terms of, am I really doing what I'm here to do, what I'm called to do? That's why it's called calling. It's what you're called to do. It's why God put you on this earth. There's something you have that the world needs that nobody else can do. Believe it or not, a lot of us don't, haven't reached that place yet where we realize that about ourselves. But I fully believe, and I fully teach and encourage this, that you're unique and there's something you have that the world needs. And once you discover what that is for yourself, I'm telling you, nothing's going to stop you from doing it, even if it takes you a while. Because once that is unlocked and unveiled for you, it brings, just knowing it brings you fulfillment, let alone, getting on the journey of doing it. So once you know that, you're gold. There's two ways to know where you are in this revelation for yourself. Number one is to know your direction. I would say this is probably number one. I put it second on here, but number one is to know your direction. I need to know, and this is connected to my vision, I need to know where I'm going with my life. This is always connected to, again, family, things that are important to you. Okay, for some people that's not important, but most of the time it is. So, the people that you're connected to, the vision you have is usually connected to the things that matter to you. Plus, again, what I'm good at, what I'm passionate about. So this makes up your vision, and I'm gonna get into that in a minute. But I need to know my direction, where I'm going. And I think we all have that innately. We have kind of a dream life envisioned in our mind. If I could do my life the way I want to do it, this is what it would look like. That's important to know for yourself, because that is what's going to propel you in that direction of where you want to go. So that's number one. How do I know where I am? Is know my direction. Once I know the future I'm hoping for, then I have a compass to get there. Okay? This is why it's important to have that balance between I live for today, obviously, because it's all I have. And at the same time, I need to have vision for my future. Otherwise, I don't have motivation to keep going. Because every day we're going to have, things coming against us that it's going to try and, as I always say, discourage or distract first. It always starts with distractions. Once you're distracted, you lose your focus. So distractions, discouragement, and deterrence. When I have direction, that stuff doesn't affect me as much. So know your direction. Number 2 is to know your season. Not only know your season, but honor your season, okay? A lot of times, and this is really important when you're in the space where you already are kind of on the road to building your dream life, you're going to get a lot of obstacles come against you. And again, these are designed to do those 3 things I just mentioned. So there are seasons where you're very inspired, like spring. Spring is a good season. You get excited to go outside again. It's beautiful. The birds are coming out, the animals are coming out. So it's like, it's gorgeous outside. So you want to live again. At least, I don't know. This has been my experience in the north, y'all. The winters really messed with my moods a lot. So that might be an effect for you too. But in the same way, it affects our life, the season that we're in. So if you're in a winter season, you're probably not going to be as inspired. You're probably not going to want to be as motivated. And you need to honor that and just kind of work through it. So that's number 1, to know where you are. Let's see. And those are 2 questions to answer for yourself. So number 2, in this balance between working and resting in your calling, is to find the rhythm in the reality and find the forward movement in the faith. Okay, so there's 2 parts to this. Number 1, again, I have to be in sync with my present reality. And I mean that in terms of honoring where I'm at. Again, going back to honoring your season. And this can look all kinds of ways because we're all in different seasons and we're all in different stages of our life, as well as our recovery, as well as building our life. So I just need to be cognizant of that. And then when I mean finding the rhythm, I mean to be in sync with it. Because a lot of times what happens to us on one side or the other. So you either tend to be more complacent and lazy. That's one end of the spectrum. So you need more motivation and more discipline. Or you're on the other end, which is a workaholic. Like you don't know when to take a break. You're always just on the go all the time. So we have to come to the happy medium between the 2 and have a rhythm that we naturally flow in so that I can be in tune with myself and my reality. And that's a whole process because it's the inner healing journey as well as my circumstances all combined. And then find the forward movement in the faith. This is so crucial. You must be spiritually aligned to fully find yourself, firstly. And then you get the revelation of your calling. But even in seasons of winter or seasons where you're not as inspired or you don't feel like doing what you're supposed to do, you don't feel like doing the work, it's important to stay in step with the Spirit in forward movement, okay? Because even if God has you in a season where nothing looks like it's working, which, I feel like I'm coming out of this season actually, but I definitely had a season where, a long season, where I felt like, Lord, I don't see the fruit of my labor. I don't see harvest. I don't see all this work that I've been putting in. And it can get very discouraging, especially when you are very dedicated and focused and you feel like you're doing everything you can and then you don't see the fruit of it. But remember, this is where that faith comes in, to remember if you're doing the work that you're supposed to be doing, it's going to produce harvest. It's just a matter of when it happens. Because if you're on God's timetable, you're going to have to be patient. So find the rhythm in the reality, your reality, and find the forward movement in the faith. Okay, moving on to number 3. By the way, this first section that I just shared has to do with work. Okay, now let's move on to rest. Okay, again, we're trying to find this balance between the two. So, in order for me to have good balance between working and resting, again, if you're the workaholic type, this is something you're going to have to practice. And if you're not, if you're more of the lazy type, then the first part is the one you're going to have to practice. Okay? So, next is know my limitations and boundaries. Okay, we all have limitations, believe it or not. Even if you are someone who can handle 500 jobs and no sleep, you have limitations. Okay, and we all must have boundaries, even if you don't know what they are yet. Because without these parameters for self, especially if you're the type that doesn't know when to chill, when to take a break, you will go into burnout. Now, I'm that type, okay? I'm actually in recovery still. And there are times that, especially recently, I find myself, like today, I didn't take a break really today. And I started getting kind of like a little edgy and tired. And then I realized, hell, I didn't have a break today. No wonder. So I must remember this for myself, that I have to schedule in rest, okay? And also, I have to know what my limits are. Most likely, if you're on the go all day, at some point, even if, you're eating well, let's say you're, a health nut or whatever, and you eat well all day, or you drink coffee or whatever, you still must take little breaks to help your nervous system stay in homeostasis, so that you don't go into burnout. Burnout is the worst place anybody can be, and I'm actually someone who's still recovering from, and actually, y'all, if we were going to get really into it, overworking yourself most likely is a trauma response. If you're a perfectionist or you struggle with OCD, this is physical manifestation of something internal that is in unrest. I know this because I'm in recovery still from it. And in my case, my overworking temperament led me to chronic illness. Some of y'all are there, so it's really important that you don't drive yourself to illness, because believe it or not, you can. And I'm one of those people that it happened to. So setting those limitations and boundaries is paramount. Let's talk about boundaries for a second. So again, some of us, especially empaths, we struggle with boundaries. We will say yes to everybody all the time. And even though when we need something, they won't say yes to us. And then we end up feeling depleted, again, tired, overworked, whatever it is. So I have to learn when to say yes and when to say no. When am I available and when am I not? When I can handle taking on extra tasks at work, whatever it is for you. Boundaries are so important. Okay, and number 2 in this section of rest is to know when my soul needs strength. And also to know when my body needs rest, squeezy, and breaks and sleep. Okay, again, my body is only going to be as strong as my soul realm. And my soul realm is only functioning at the level of my spiritual health. Okay, so I must have spiritual alignment and anchor to get strength in my soul realm. This is so crucial, y'all. And again, the healthier I am internally, the more that will pour into my physical well-being. Okay. Now, again, for some of us, you struggle more with the physical than you do the internal, and vice versa. Or it could just be the stage that you're in. So maybe you're just in the inner healing journey, so you haven't really addressed your physical needs as much yet. But all three are equally as important, and they pour into one another. So if you're trying to figure out, why am I struggling here, we got to move backwards, like I always teach. Okay, so anybody have any questions? Don't hesitate to ask, even if you're watching this later on the replay. Okay, number 3 is the calling, which I kind of touched on earlier. But again, if I'm to know why I'm here, I have to have vision. Vision is the starting line. Vision is the blueprint for my life. So once I know what this is, then I can begin to start working in my calling, even if it's very slow, which in my case, you know, I feel like I'm in my calling, but it's still been a slow beginning. And don't be discouraged if this is your story as well, because again, the victory is knowing this, because without this, you will feel unfulfilled in your life. You'll probably be really agitated at work and annoyed because you're like, I don't want to be doing this job. This is not me. I don't feel, happy. So this is important for yourself to know what that is. And again, it is your passions and your gifts combined, along with knowing the vision for your life. This is how you discover your calling. Assignment is the how. Like I said, calling is the what. What am I here to do? So, me, I've shared this before, but for those of you that are new, my name is Ruby. I'm a certified therapeutic art life coach. I'm an artist. I love helping people. I love being, a listening ear to others. And I am a cheerleader for the broken. So I have put all of that together for myself, and this is why I do what I do. I do one-to-one sessions to help you on the inner healing journey. I teach on this all the time. And I also have group classes. I'm also a teacher, so it just sort of naturally flows. Again, it just naturally flows, and you'll know that about yourself. It's not something that is forced, because most of us, it is how God created you. Okay? And this is another reason why getting on the inner healing journey is important, because once you come out of a lot of what you're struggling with, or you're on the other side of some of the things, and specifically the hard things that you've had to battle in your life, the tragedies, the darkness that you've overcome, that now becomes your testimony and your power. to help others in the same darkness. Okay, this is another reason why I am so adamant about helping you in your recovery, because whatever you're dealing with, you can now, once you come on the other side of it, you can now help the others that are still in it, in the same darkness. Okay? So, calling to create your own vision, or establish your vision, understanding what your vision is firstly, and then establishing it. And then combine that with your passions, desires, things that, you know, I love music, I love art, I love creativity, and I love helping people. So yeah, that's how I came to do what I do, and that's why I'm teaching you to do the same. So, the balance between working and resting in your calling. I hope this blessed y'all. I'll be back tomorrow with Recovery Tuesdays, and I'll have a teaching for you as well. Again, if you're interested in my one-to-ones, one-to-one therapeutic art, inner healing sessions, or any of my group classes, I can do those in a one-to-one setting if you're interested, and those are all listed in my website. Feel free to book directly via my website or message me at she'srestored@gmail.com. And hope y'all are having a good start to your week. I will be back tomorrow. Have a great night. Bye.